Hello, Alex Lafkus here. I'm going to tie a little crayfish pattern I've been running a bunch this year. Small, jig hooked, picking around the rocks. We're going to call it the TeCrayCray. Sort of a crayfish Tequeely Bugger tribute fly. It's basically Tequeely Bugger. Oh, those are been my two more popular colors so far. I need to tie some in like a sand and brown, maybe a golden brown. Um, Super simple crayfish, fishing a lot of clear water, so small natural has been best. If you hear me referring to the phantom craw, that's kind of that color. It's a rock crawler color pattern that's pretty effective for me. What you're going to need is I'm running the 90-degree Gamakatsu heavy wire jig hook in a 3/0. I just ran out. So here's my pack of 2/0. I like the 3s, obviously. We're fishing some bigger smallmouth, so that's part of the deal. Medium round rubber legs, I'm mixing it up. These are the dark golden stone with, I think these are just straight olive. Yeah, dark olive. A couple different color combos on the olive and cream fly. Different marabou, olive marabou, cream marabou, whatever chenille you have laying around. This is variegated, something I was never going to go through, so it works great for this. But just rayon chenille and medium lead eyes and 6/0 Vivus because it is strong and very nice thread. No big deal, simple fly, effective dubbing loop tool for the head. Look, there's a whole bunch of substitute materials out there. If you want to add flash out the back. If you want to use some Estaz for the body, go for it. And I know that MFC is making like some weird stuff on a little cord you could just wrap for the head. Whatever, I'm using up some bad feathers of marabou to make just a little dubbing loop head out of it. So, it's just something basically to cover the eyeballs. Once again, right up my alley. Super simple, yet effective. Sort of my playbook. But anyway, we'll get to tying it. It has been effective. So, whatever. Here we go. So we're just going to start adding lead eyes first. 6/0 Vivus. And I always add the lead eyes first on these, just kind of get spacing and whatnot. And we're going to give ourselves a little bit of room to get a little bit of dubbing loop and marabou on it. Once again, my typical tying style, which is, just simple, using up old materials and stuff I may not use a ton. So whenever you're doing the lead eyes, do yourself a favor, cinch them down by going underneath your figure 8 wraps. I'll get it a little bit tighter on there. Okay, that should be good enough. I usually hit it with a little bit of glue. In the grand scheme of things, I'm not sure how much it helps, but I'll do it regardless. Sometimes I'll use the UV and then put a little bit of dab of this on it. Whatever. Yeah, none of it's rocket science. And these are quick enough. You don't have to be too, as you can probably tell with a lot of my videos, like, there's a few things that take longer to tie. And those are always my, bigger bait fish stuff, because anything that you're tying that's that big is going to take some time. But the fact of the matter is most of the stuff I tie is pretty, fly tire / angler friendly. So you can really bust them out. And then we're going to do, obviously it's going to ride hook point up. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that that cream marabou is on the bottom. Like I said, it's always just light color down, as you'd know. And then I do tend to kind of wrap some of the thread over the marabou going up, just so you get kind of more of a uniform wraps with your chenille going forward. Once again, not going to be the deciding factor on if a fish bites it or not, but here we are, doing it regardless. So there, you know, whatever. Tie in the marabou or the chenille now. Like I said, these are super quick and they've been very effective, and it gets me the size I'm looking for. Upsize them, downsize them, depending on what you're doing. You know, tie them in colors to match the bottom. I know that I always catch a lot of fish on this color crankbait. Has been one of my best, so I definitely know I needed to have them when I started tying these. So here we are. I've got some with some orange in them, but I'm fishing really clear water. The other thing, obviously, there's all sorts of sparkle materials out there, whether it be chenille, flash in the tail, whatever. When I'm tying these, I am fishing such clear water. The last thing I want on there is much flash, you know. That's, man, you know, when you can see the bottom in 22 to 24 foot of water, it seems like it, from my experience, flash hurts in clear water. Helps in dirty water, hurts in clear water. So I'm doing the round medium rubber legs with, you know, 2 of each color. I do like to have a little variation in color, hence the 2 different colors, just gives a little bit more. Get up here, don't want to go too far because you still want to have those legs far enough from, you know, whatever kind of head you're creating on it. Now I will say I'll probably trim these down a little bit. The deal with these legs versus the silly legs, I really have not had much of a problem of these legs fouling, even if they are long, and that probably has to do with the stiffness of the rubber, which might also have to do with why they'll dry rot after a while. I mean, it's just always been the case with the medium round rubber legs or the smalls, any of the round rubber leg stuff. They don't seem to last as long. But so we're just going to take this up, kick those legs so they go back a little bit or straight out, but you kind of want to leave them so that they get a little bit of kick to them. So I like them kind of straight out, and that way when you pull it, there's a little bit of motion there. Kind of make sure that chenille's wrapped in there. The chenille takes a beating because a lot of times if you got to get in there to get them unhooked, you're using pliers on it. And then all I'm doing for the head, I know that they make some cool stuff. You could probably use a small little brush, whatever you want to do. I think that they're also making, I think there's also a bunch of smaller, like, gosh, I think Russ was telling me there's some MFC stuff that like comes on a rope and is really easy to use. That would probably make a really good head for it. All I'm doing is kind of using like a bum piece of marabou that I wasn't going to use anyway. I'm just kind of taking some of the tips off that, and I'm just going to put those in the dubbing loop, cut off the kind of the stemmy part. Well, give ourselves a little more. It's always easier to add a little bit more to your dubbing loop than try to add some later. I'll just kind of pinch it all there. And then I will get out my super fancy dubbing loop tool. And then just kind of stack this in here. I'll twist it a little bit so I get a little tension on there. Space it out a little bit as we go. Oh, I'm just gonna get a little buggy head on it. But this has been about the easiest crayfish pattern that, and I really just kind of started fishing it. I fish some other stuff too, but this one, a lot of them got a little bigger, bulkier, more than I think I need. I will say that like a lot of our fish, oh, failure. Yeah, scoot that thread up to the front right there. That'll be fine. You know, and a lot in this clear water too is a lot of our fish they eat small stuff, man. You know, I'm fishing a lot of shallow water, which is shallow, clear water. You know, so just the other thing you can think about with these bass, you know, especially for the trout fishermen who are getting into it, is like, look, a lot of it's similar condition dependent. Yeah, you know, sometimes they'll eat that big gaudy thing, and when the water's low and clear, you're in kind of an adverse situation where it's, you know, just low, clear, gin clear, shallow. It does pay to go a little bit more finesse style. You know, we're trout fishermen, so, you know, we know what finesse is. Or a lot of us are anyway. I'll trim those legs up just a little bit. Don't need them that long. Ooh, nice sharp scissors. Probably time for new sets. Anyway, that's about it. Then I'll just whip finish it off. And add some glue to it. Sally Hansen's Pro Staff. Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails Pro Staff. I always do multiple whip finishes. If you haven't seen this before, just more knots are good. And I would tie a lot of these, you know, to match the bottom colors. You know, whether it's sand, this Phantom Craw color combination, standard more brown and tan color combo, whatever you need. There you go, easy enough. Simple, as I said, simple fly. Pop the rubber legs, give a little more life out there, and that's the deal, yo. But yeah, give it a go. Let me know what you think about it. I mean, it's easy. It is got enough of the characteristics of a crayfish to get it done, and it seems to be working really well for me. So, well, give it a shot. Let me know. Thanks for checking it out. Let me know if you got any questions. Leave them in the comments. Like, subscribe, all the good stuff that helps me stay motivated. Thanks for checking it out.